Good afternoon, it's Kirsten Foss here for a Thursday Spa Business Break. So normally I'm starting right at the top of the hour at 12 noon Pacific, but gosh, this week has been a week of technical difficulties. First, my computer started not working. Turns out I need a new hard drive. Can't get my printer to work today. My other phone is dead, and it's kind of one of those days. So here I am, I'm still here. I am not using the excuse of, technical stuff not working for me to get onto my Facebook Live, even if I'm a few minutes late. So today's topic is about fall preparations. That's what all of our topics are this month for July, because typically in this industry, most spa owners are leaving their fall planning way too late, like into the fall. They're already in the fall and realizing, I'm here again. I know, if you're a seasoned spa owner or at least have a couple of years under your belt, for many of you, September is a quiet time of year. And so if we want to get to September, if that is your kind of normal situation, we're a seasonal industry, we have these ebbs and flows as we're building. And if that's your reality in September, that means that you really need to prioritize your planning for fall. What is your business strategy? And in the overarching business strategy, you've got a number of categories to plan for. So this one, we're talking about your team. What happens in the fall? There's a couple of situations that I want to share with you that often creep up, and to give you some ideas, some really practical ideas to help you mitigate those particular situations. So last week I was talking about before you start planning your fall strategies, you got to analyze what happened last year. Now, I got a message from a few people last week that said, this is my first year in business. What do I do if I have nothing to analyze? Well, you just go by what's happening right now. So typically you're needing a little bit of, you're needing more clients. So you're not really going to have the analysis part. It's more about the planning part. Okay, today is specifically talking about planning for your fall teams. So what happens with your fall teams? Okay, so a lot of times, I've just got my notes here on another computer. A lot of times, if you are a busy spa and you need to hire because your booking levels are, you've got more traffic coming and booking than you have service providers for. And that is a really great problem to have. Congratulations. And so, what you'll notice as a growing spa owner is that success also creates its own set of problems. Now, I don't really like to call them problems because it's just a different situation that needs analysis because you're in a new situation. The knowledge that you had that got you here is typically not enough to get you to the next stage of your business. So you've got a great problem, you've had like a stellar busy summer, and it looks like it's just going to keep continuing into the fall. What do you do? And it's one of those difficult conundrums as a spa owner, because you're probably already run off your feet. You're thinking, how am I going to have time to hire? And my hiring process is just kind of a bit of a jumbled mess. It's, there's nothing, it's not really a system. So what I would recommend for you to do at that point if you're at that point, is to create a recruiting system. Essentially, as you are going through the recruiting process again for September, because you want to start now, you'll want to capture it as you go through it. It's just a really easy way of creating a system rather than, you're not in the hiring process right now, but you've got a bunch of other things to do, and then you're trying to sit down and create a recruiting system. Create your recruiting system as you go through it. Much, much easier to capture it as you go along. Now, what are you going to need for that recruiting system? You're going to need job descriptions. That is seriously lacking in our industry, is job descriptions. So it's really no wonder we have problems with staff if, after they're hired and they've gone through a training, if they've gone through a training program, that is. If there's no kind of job description at the beginning of the game, then you're literally leaving it up to your new employee to make their own perception about what their job description is. And that's not a very not a great direction to go into. So start with job descriptions. Then you're going to need a job ad. Now, a job description and a job ad are two different things. You're going to take parts of your job description and summarize it into a job ad. You're going to need a way to track where you are posting your ads. Some of them require payment. Some of them are free. But if you set up like a spreadsheet with a list of all the places that you're recruiting, next time you need to recruit, you already have your list set up. Everything is documented, with your username and password, so that if you happen to have a lead esthetician or a spa manager that you're ready to delegate this to, they have that system already there for them. You will also need to have an interview process. So that would include a phone interview to screen. It's going to include a meet and greet interview just to kind of get a suss out, is this going to be a right fit? Then if they're service providers, you want to give them a practical interview, and then their final step will be the job offer. You will share the contract with them. And again, that lays out their job description in there, as well as, what they're getting paid, what their compensation is going to be like, and any other kind of details that a new hire should know about as far as accepting a position with you. Okay, so that's the situation number one, that you are super busy, yay, you need to hire more, and you don't have a system. That's what you want to follow. Now, the second situation that often is prevalent is kind of the opposite. They're not getting enough business coming in. Traffic is slow to online bookings. The phone's really not ringing off the hook anymore in September, October, and your team is getting nervous about their job security as well as their paycheck security. And so we can take steps now to organize and make sure that you've got more clients coming in September, October. So the first thing I'd recommend that you might want to consider doing in terms of marketing is to leverage if you're busy in the summer and it looks like you're going to be busy in August, to leverage your August clientele. Send everybody home with a bounce back coupon to come back in September. Now, I know that there's some of you that don't discount. I'm not saying you discount everything. You need to be strategic about where you're discounting. And if you want more traffic coming in September, use a bounce back coupon to get them in, and it would be only valid for September. Okay, so that's one little piece for you. Another strategy to use if you are quiet, and you can piggyback this between the bounce back in August and booking and planning a spa training in service in September. When it's your most quiet, use that time for your team training. I used to be a lifeguard when I was in my teens. I used to swim competitively from the time I think I was 11 until I was 16, and then I became a lifeguard. It was just a natural progression. And as a lifeguard, we had in-services every single month, and that was when the whole team came together and we would practice scenarios in the pool of people drowning, of people whacking their heads on the concrete, of, somebody's got a nosebleed, any kind of, crazy situation that could come up. We had to do training once a month to do that. Now, I'm not suggesting that you do an in-service every month. However, I would suggest thinking about alternating your monthly team meetings. Maybe one is about improving the guest experience, that kind of hands-on training. And then the alternate month could be business training, as far as teaching your team about the business goals, about how to get there, about sales processes, of scripts, all that kind of thing. So, but an in-service, you could book an in-service for sometime in September when it's super quiet, maybe a couple of days, and map out those places where all year long you were feeling we could do better at the guest experience here. Oh, we could kind of polish up this service here. Take this time to polish everything up about your services, so that when it ramps up again, your team is much more confident. You have, anytime you do a training, the guests notice it. Definitely, I always noticed when my team had training in retail, because the next couple of months were always really, really great retail months. So, as far as training, use the downtime as time to augment your team training. So not only does it serve your clients because you're improving the guest experience, but it's also serving you as a leader. Your team knows that you care about them. You're investing time in them. And it helps to strengthen your leadership with them. And when you strengthen your leadership with your team, you're also strengthening the team culture in there. So, there's lots of opportunities for you as a business owner to take advantage of the fall, whether it's really busy for you or whether it is quiet for you. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe it's not such a dramatic, it's not such a dramatic pitch either way. But I've given you some scenarios. I've given you some very practical advice that you can follow, and just jot it down so that when you have your next admin day and you have a planning, your planning block ready, you can take this information and start organizing your fall team, whatever is going to happen with your team. We don't want to wait until things are going a little bit sideways before we try to make any changes. All right, so it's time to get organized. If you need help getting organized, if you don't know how to put a recruiting system together, if you don't know how to put a training system together, if you don't know, if it's just way over your head, or you don't have time and you don't want to be bothered with it, you can certainly outsource creating systems. And that is something that I do kind of behind the scenes in my coaching practice is online spa business management. So if you don't like doing it, you don't have time to do it, you have the option to outsource your system creation so that you can just, have it. We'll train you how to use your system and make sure that you know how to implement it and support you through it. And then you can just keep it going, right? You don't have to do all the hard work of putting it together. But if you have time, if you're not that busy, you do have time to sit down and put your systems together. Okay, that's it for me for your Thursday Spa Business Break. I will be back here next week with more training, knowledge, understanding about your spa business and what's going to happen in the fall and prepping for that. All right, thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a stellar weekend coming up, and we'll see you next week.